Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host today, Stefan DeVille, and today we're going to talk about myths on Black men or myths with Black men. But first, I'd like to introduce the cast: Wayne,
Yo, what's up?
Charles,
Hey, my people.
Chuck,
Hey,
and we're missing Mike right now. He should join us later on in the telecast, but if we don't connect with him, believe me, I'm sure he had plenty to say on this topic. So before we begin, want to give the floor to Charles to talk about a special product.
All right, fellas. Mike was calling me actually, so I don't know what's going on with that dude. But we got breaking news, guys. The Manscaped engineering team has successfully launched the Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, and I'm getting a lot of feedback. This new trimmer, guys, was just released for sale in the United States and Canada, and we, the J Bam crew, were one of the first to get our hands on it. Check this out, guys.
Uh-oh.
It's a thing of beauty right there.
Okay.
For the fellas out there, you need to join the over 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped with their lives, with their balls, actually, by taking advantage of this exclusive offer. 20% off, free worldwide shipping with the code JBAMSCAPED. As you can see, well, it's right over there, JBAMSCAPE at manscaped.com. Now, ladies, your man has enough ties and underwear. This is the perfect Father's Day gift.
Absolutely.
Make that happen for him. I used mine, my 4.0, earlier today, believe it or not, and I am personally blown away by the performance, the craftsmanship. As you can see, the details of the 4.0 are next level. Their advanced ceramic blade and skin-safe technology is simply incredible, guys, and it helps you keep your balls as safe as possible. Now, I've used inferior products in the past. I have. And trust me, Manscaped is the absolute best. There is nothing worse than having a grooming accident around your family jewels, guys. I think some of us have been there. I know I've been there. It's not a pleasant feeling. So what makes this trimmer different from all other trimmers, I'm glad you asked. Well, it's new, multifunction on-off switch, can engage as a travel lock. So created for people that like to travel. The Lawnmower 4.0 also gives you customized trim all over your body. So if you have the different, it comes with different guards, 1 through 4. So if you want to, go a little longer in certain areas and shorter in the other areas, you have the ability to do that with one singular tool. Okay.
Oh, so you can put a landing strip. Is that what you're saying?
Hey, whatever your heart's desires. and looks wise, as I indicated, it's sleek, it's two-tone. You got the gloss finish. It's fantastic, very nice. Now, the optimized mower 4.0 is waterproof, so you can groom in the shower just like I did earlier and have all the hair just, wash right down the drain. Now, did I mention also that it has wireless charging? Did I mention that?
You did not. I was going to tell you.
I didn't know that.
Yep, wireless charging. So if you're still trimming your face, guys, with the same trimmer that you use on your balls, it's time for a change. That's just nasty. Just
You're
don't
nasty,
make that
first
happen.
of all.
So
You're nasty.
exactly. So again, get 20% off plus free shipping with the code JBAMSCAPE at manscaped.com. That's your call to action, guys. Make that happen. Ladies, hook up your man. Father's Day is coming. Again, don't, enough with the ties, enough with the socks, enough with the same old boring gifts. Get that man the 4.0 lawnmower. Back to you, Steph.
Hey, I was just thinking about this, Charles. I've had surgery before, and they pulled out the razor blade or whatever, the normal Gillette Bic thing.
You giving vasectomy stories? Is that what
No,
you're
it wasn't vasectomy. No. When I had a heart issue, and they did an actual. They ran the cable through the groin all the way up to the heart. An ablation. No, I was knocked out. But before that, they pulled out the Gillette Blade, this should be introduced to hospitals. Hey guys, use this 4.0, and then you don't have a patient that's nervous as hell, because you're going to nick him up before you nick him up.
No doubt.
So we need to talk to Manscaped, and
There you go.
and say, hey guys, you need to push these to the hospital. It's also for women too, because before giving birth, everything got to be shaven. So hey, who knows? We may be onto something. Manscaped, holla at your brother.
There you go.
Or better yet, holla at J-Bam. We may have a great idea for you. Okay, let's get into today's discussion. We're going to do a little different than what we've done in the past. It's completely unscripted. Normally when we get together, either we're playing golf or we go play pool, or or we're sitting around the table playing Bokino and losing by cheating kids, or left, right, center. We have conversations. We have deep conversations, but it's all unscripted. So what I want to try today with our crew, minus Mike, who might join, but he's a little short at the action right now.
See, there you go.
Hey, he's not on here.
Okay, facts.
Yep. So he's just going to get this work. Anyway, so let's talk about some of the myths that that people have of Black men. A couple of them out there that you have heard in the past, specifically from the Caucasian race, is that we're lazy, or we're incompetent, or absentee fathers. So what do you think, Wayne, about the lazy aspect when it comes to that myth of Black men?
Wow. So, I mean, a lot of these myths everyone's heard about for all the years, right? And you can't just say that a whole group of people does one thing one way, because that's just stupid, right? So are there lazy people? Sure, there's lazy people in every grouping. So I think it's because when you see some imaging, just like on the news and all these different things, they're showing you what they want you to see, right? And so you see the people who look like they're not doing much. No one shows the people who are, right? Bad press is good business, right? But if you're doing the right thing, nobody wants to show it. Right, so I think it's stupid. I mean, lazy, shiftless, all this other stuff. I think it's dumb, but there's lazy people in every group, no question in my mind.
No doubt.
Yeah, no question. And I think about it every once in a while. If we were lazy, why'd you bring us over here?
Well, but that's just it, Stefan. The narrative about Black men in particular, changed when we stopped working for free.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? All of a sudden, we became, lazy and shiftless and all this other stuff. But before, when we were working for the man in the cotton fields and things of that nature, we were those big bucks and, look how strong we are, and, being sold and bought and all this other stuff, because of the work that we were putting in. So it's all about, that whole narrative, creating, just these false myths and stereotypes about Black people in general, but especially Black men.
What do you think, Chuck? And I think if anybody on this podcast is the biggest hustler, it's Chuck Smith. So I mean, and we're all working, but I mean, the hustler that never stops until he's about ready to pass out. So what do you think about that lazy comment?
It's just that it's a myth. It's another way to perpetuate that Black is bad, if you will. That's it's an age-old tool used to just make us look less than what we are, and it's been used quite effectively, to the point where Black folks even look at other Black folks and say it it crosses all kinds of lines when you talk about that. For example, me as a business owner, when I hear Black people say, and I wanted to give you a try because thought I'd give you a try because you're a Black owned business. That I've never liked that phrase. There's automatically a negative connotation attached to that. I want to give you a try because you're a Black owned business. What does that mean? Black is bad. So it's a lot of, so yeah, that term has never set well with me because it's just a term that has been used historically to make us look less than what we are.
But Chuck, if I could just step on that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So I get it that someone's saying I'm going to give you a try because you're a Black organization. I know that may feel a little bit negative, but in my mind, so many people choose to spend their money elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they would say, you know what, let me get this dude a try, or let me go spend my money over here. I mean, I'm saying there's some value in that, but I get why you're saying it might not be that's not what you're trying to hear, but so easily, just like when we had that Black Utopia conversation, as soon as segregation, as soon as the separate, this integration thing happened, everyone ran for the hills, right? And they went to and automatically, like you said, Black was bad. That meant white was good, the opposite, right? So everybody wanted to spend their money that way instead of keeping it in the communities. And I mean, that's just the reality. That's just the reality. I just want to bring that up.
No, it's a great point. It's a great point. The other thing I think about is when you say we're lazy. Well, if you look at the NBA, the majority of the players are Black, and you spend your money to watch Black people that aren't being lazy. Last time I checked. The National Football League, same thing. If you're lazy, you're not going to be on the field. But I would say the majority of the players are Black. Even look at Major League Baseball. Even though there are white players, there are a lot of Latin and Hispanic and or Black players that are playing. So we're not lazy when it comes to sports because you spend your money to watch us play. Go ahead, Wayne.
I was just gonna say, I think it's just like Charles mentioned before, it's just a myth, right? And it's like one of those things, if you say it enough times, it starts to catch. It doesn't have to be true. You just keep saying it and it just catches.
Right. Agreed. All right, well, we get off that soapbox for right now, but we come back to it. That's fine too. Another one that they're quick to say is that we're incompetent. And we're not up to the standards, or we can't meet the standards because we're inferior. Well, what do you think about that, Charles?
I mean, well, we all know that's a bunch of BS, man. I mean, we are the original man. You know what I mean? The invention of mathematics and architecture and things of that nature, came through our culture. So this is all just a supportive of that negative, narrative that is put out there about Black people in general. But I think we as Black folks, we need to do a better job of, number one, getting our own history out there. So this is it. And secondly, we also need to understand the damage that we do to each other, because oftentimes we perpetuate our own stereotypes. And those things need to be challenged. They need to be challenged openly. They need to be challenged often. The record needs to be set straight. We're already up against a major challenge in the United States of America. When you think about when major news networks, when they cite experts in their field, they rarely cite or rarely talk to a Black man in particular. When they hold up role models, it's almost always rappers, entertainers, athletes, things of that nature. But what about the Black businessman? What about the Black professional? What about the people that are doing so much good in our communities, our teachers, things of that nature? Those things are always underrepresented in mainstream media. So we as a people, we just need to do a better job, man, of tooting our own horns. We know the real story, but what burns me up about Black people is that we're some of the ones perpetuating some of the nonsense that is out there. There was, just a case in point, there was this this narrative about there being more Black men in prison than in college. And the fact of the matter is, when that was initially reported, like over a decade ago, it was incorrectly reported back then. But people took that narrative and they ran with it, where you even hear some of that crap today. You know, the fact of the matter is, when you look at the numbers, I think over 1,000 colleges and universities didn't even report their Black male head count when that statistic was thrown out there. So it wasn't true then. It definitely isn't true now, but people still say those things about us. So it's all a bunch of BS, man. That's all it is.
Go ahead, Wayne.
No, I was just agreeing. I'm just agreeing.
Okay. All right. You know, one thing that gets me, and I'm gonna let Chuck jump in, is all right. I graduated from a historically Black college or university, Morgan State University. Matter of fact, let me make sure everybody can see that. Anyway, here's a myth that drives me crazy: that an HBCU isn't up to par as a predominantly white institution. Case in point, I knew a young lady, and her daughter was a senior in high school down in Southern Alabama. And I said, well, shoot, you got a whole bunch of choices of HBCUs in that region. You know, Alabama State, I'm sorry, Alabama State, Alabama A&M, Fort Valley, Florida A&M, you know, anything in Mississippi, Louisiana. And she said, I'm not going to send my daughter to an HBCU. They're not at the same standards. No, she's going to go to probably University of Alabama or University of Mississippi, and or you know somewhere, or Auburn. And I looked at her and I said, you know, you're African American. Why don't you at least look at the HBCU? No, my daughter's not going to get the best education by going to an HBCU. And basically, what she was telling me was, our HBCUs are incompetent. And you know, I immediately cut her off because I had nothing more to say to her in this lifetime. But you know, it's just that stereotype that sometimes is portrayed on our HBCUs and passed on to our kids. So go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, I mean it's a method of control. It's about money. It's about power. To me it all goes back to, sorry, white people. The Black colleges aren't good enough, but the white colleges are. Um, so to me, it's all a method of control. It's how you keep people where you want them. It's how you keep the classes where they need to be, and things like that. So those Black colleges are for Black people, and it's just, that's not true. So I mean, that's just my take on it. I think that's why it happens, because ultimately, even with us, are Black folks crapping on HBCUs because you know traditionally white establishments or Fortune 500 companies don't want to see a Black college on their application. So that's your justification for not letting your child go to an HBCU. Some people buy into that, and it's a very real thing.
Yeah, that's a crying shame. Yeah, go ahead, Wayne.
I was gonna say, Steph brought up, we went to Morgan, right? And so I never went to Morgan's the only college I ever went to. So I don't have any point of reference. But what I do know is that being at a Black school, the teachers or the professors that spoke to you, they try to prepare you for what a Black person is gonna do when you get out there. So being in the business school, they're like, this is how it is and this is how it isn't. Now, that's great, right? Now you go to College Park in Maryland. Are you going to get that? Maybe there's a Black professor there. Maybe there's I don't know. But so I'm saying it's the right preparation. It's the right preparation, because these are people who are already, like kind of what we're trying to do now. These are people who already been in the business world, and they've been through it. So they're not making this up. They're like, yeah, when you get out there, this is what you're gonna have to do.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head. There's a cultural perspective that you get at it from an HBCU that you're not going to get from a Maryland or a Delaware State, or you know what I mean. So, well, I'm sorry, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but I can speak from a personal perspective, because I actually spent time at both universities. I was taking classes at College Park while I was also attending an HBCU. So to me, first and foremost, the quality of the education is the same. But you're absolutely right. You are embraced more so at an HBCU than you would be at, and I was at the University of Maryland College Park. I was
Yeah.
there. I saw how, they didn't necessarily embrace our culture. I saw how you wouldn't know your instructors at all. They would basically, it was a cold experience. They would walk into a lecture hall, they would give their lecture, and then they would walk out, period. Where at a HBCU, I had a personal relationship with each of my professors. They knew me by name. They knew when I wasn't in class, things of that nature. I think where HBCUs sort of dropped the ball a little bit, again, all things considered equal, better relationships, HBCU, quality education, pretty much the same. Where they drop the ball a little bit is in the sort of the facilities, if you will. I mean, you go to some of these white schools, they are pimped out. You know what I mean? And I think there's been a recognition recently at the federal level that these HBCUs have been underfunded. So that's why
Right.
you're hearing all these HBCUs now getting this money, but they need to do right by their students. I mean, I've been taking my daughter on these college campuses, these HBCUs, and they have a bunch of dorms that still don't have AC and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
Lord.
we got to get these things up to par so that at least aesthetically it will match the education, which is already equal.
Now I'll say this: we don't donate the same
Mhm.
in our
Amen.
community.
Amen.
We don't donate
Yeah.
donors and patrons and all that.
Yep.
White establishments, I mean, they get old money, all right.
Mhm.
And then when the older generation passes on or whatever, and they leave instructions. This is who we donated to, and this is what our family donates to. So there's a legacy of that with them, and we don't do
Absolutely.
that with our schools. So I think that's one of the things that we have to kind of preach and put out there, that if we want our children to succeed, we have to invest in them. We have to pour into them. That's just not through the grade school years. That's higher education and beyond.
And if I could say one quick thing, and that is that University of Maryland College Park and Morgan State are both accredited by the same
They sure are. Yep.
same
correct.
the state school.
Right.
And
So the
those
accreditation have to
credits,
match.
they transfer in between those schools too. Absolutely.
Right. But if you tell somebody something is bad long enough, right?
Mhm.
Becomes true
Right. And so if
or believe.
you've got, so if it's out there in the court of public opinion that Morgan is under par regarding as opposed to Maryland, and they're both in the running for the same or equal funding. You see what I mean? So yeah, it's a lot to it. But again, in our community, I would like to see us pick up the mantle and take more of a responsible role in raising our kids, our community. There's a lot. It's still, even at the college level, there's still a lot of stuff that our community, our kids aren't getting. So if we're donating, if we're contributing to the schools, I would think that we would be able to say, hey, what's going, I guess a little say so in how we structure our curriculums for the years coming. There's a lot of stuff in technology coming up and all that I just don't hear about in our community that I like to hear more of. I'd like to see more of that in our HBCUs and all that. But we've got to be active. We gotta take a role.
And you bring up a great point, Chuck. I just sat here and thought about it. My wife is a member of the Alumni Association. My mother is, but I'm not. And so I'm gonna make a personal pledge right now, especially now that I just got a new job, to become a member of the Alumni Association. So my voice is heard, and and I can give back whatever I can afford, because that's where it starts, giving back if possible. And that's something that I need to do right by my alma mater.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Chuck.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, a little bit goes a long way.
Sure.
Yeah. But the bottom line is, I think what we're talking about is the differences between these schools, whether or not they prepare you for corporate America, the real world, entrepreneurship, things of that nature. And the bottom line, resounding answer to that question is yes.
The same. The
You
same.
know, my father is a prime example of that. FAMU graduate back in the 1960s. You know, he had folks from the Ivy League white schools that were working for him, you know, calling him boss, you know what I mean? Taking orders directly from him. And oftentimes he was telling me how some of these folks come out of these lily white schools, and yes, they had the book smarts, but not necessarily the common sense ability to execute, you know, day in and day out on the job. So
I think,
go ahead, Chuck.
no, I was just gonna say, I think we all know a whole lot of educated idiots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oh,
no question
absolutely.
about it.
You know, and circle back to our original discussion, myths about Black men. There are some talented Black men that have attended HBCUs as well as PWIs.
Mhm.
So bottom line is, you know, just like Chuck said, there are people with educations that are idiots, but there are also talented Black men that have, you know, either received a high school diploma, GED, or associate degree, bachelor's, all the way up to PhD, that are doing their thing because they're competent. So we got to kill that narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I know, you know, you're hosting this thing, man,
Yeah.
but
Go ahead.
and hopefully you're headed in this direction. I don't know, but one of the things
Ed,
I would really like
that
for
what you
us to
said,
talk
Ed?
about, yeah.
Okay.
He said headed.
One of the things I would really like for us to talk about as Black men is the knock that we get from our own Black women.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, because oftentimes you hear this narrative that there are no good Black men out there.
Mhm.
And we all know that that's definitely not the case. The reality is there are thousands of good Black men out there. Matter of fact, I read a couple of statistics recently, and 51% of Black men are single and childless. Okay.
Wow.
64% are in the middle class. So there are a lot of brothers out here that are doing the daggone thing,
Mhm.
but for whatever reason, it's like I don't know. It's like they're the good Black men are looked over. You know, my cousin posted something on social media that was so telling. She said, women won't date a guy that lives with his mom, but they will date a guy that lives with his wife. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So you got some brothers out there that are trying to do right, whether it's, you know, and maybe they're not necessarily at that, you know, again, that athlete, that
Baller status.
multi-million, that baller status, you know what I'm saying? But they're good brothers that are doing the daggone thing.
But
So,
Charles, it's like we've been saying about every other topic
mhm,
that believe in the hype,
mhm.
right? And so like you're perpetuating this stuff on social media, on television, and music videos, whatever the hell it is you look at, and that's what that's your visual of what a good man is,
Mhm.
right? That's the dude that has this and has that and wears this and wears that, and but is that the dude, right? That's probably not, right?
First and foremost, it's unrealistic, man.
Well,
I mean,
stupid.
that is like this much of what the Black community is all about.
But
You know, it's crazy.
But let's take it just a slightly different step, though, right? I don't want to finish this up just yet, Brett. But how about the Black women that say there's no good Black men, but then bug out when they're with a white woman?
Oh yeah, no
So
question.
you knew we had to go there, right? So
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
right. So then now they want to look at you crazy because you with a white woman.
Mhm.
Like, well, you didn't want me, but you didn't want me to be with her.
That's it. And I know a lot of brothers that fall into that category where sisters, for whatever reason, give them a hard way to go. And then all of it, I mean, just proactively going after the sisters, man. It's like they're not giving me the time of day. And then all of a sudden, you know, he has this white girl on his arm, and now he's getting,
Ooh.
you know, those death
Hate.
stares.
You can say it, he's getting hate.
You know, it's like,
Yeah.
what's up with that, man? I just don't get it.
Mhm. Well, you know, there's a deep-seated hatred, if you will. White women always taking our good Black men, this, that, and the other. When some, sometimes you're just not giving these good black men a chance.
Mhm.
And they're only going to chase you for so long,
Mhm.
before they move on. And so the other thing is, like we were talking about, good men aren't exciting nowadays.
Mm.
They're not. I'm not saying that all women want bad boys now or whatever, but look at social media. Look what's going on. I mean, it's changed from when our generation, I guess. Now you got skinny jeans with your ass hanging out, and that's what they want.
Mhm.
So
That's the first problem. Skinny
right,
jeans.
right. So and times changed, people change with the times, but man, these kids, that's different, man. It's just different. I don't know what to say about it.
If you look at the images that you see in these what do you call reality shows,
Mhm.
Yeah.
come on, they crazy, right?
It
And
is
so
crazy.
that's what you're seeing. So if there was a dude, if there was a Cosby Huxtable kind of, that's not a reality show. Nobody wants to see it,
Mhm.
Right.
right? No one wants to see that perfect, not perfect, but you know what I'm saying, that normalized kind of thing. No one wants to see that. They want to see
It's
fighting.
exactly. It's
Wild
not
and out.
exciting. It's not It's not World Star. If it's not
Mhm.
World Star worthy, then what are we doing it for?
Mhm.
This is a click generation now. They're clicking on the next best thing, the biggest hype. So nah, man. If you're a nice guy and you got a 9 to 5, you go to work every day, you just pay your bills and do. That's not what. Come on, man.
But why is that not good enough? I that's the part I'm not understanding. My brother, you all know my brother, right?
hmm
Good dude, man. I mean,
hmm
he's a single brother.
hmm
He's raising his teenage daughter by himself. You know what I mean? I mean,
hmm
he has custody over her because he wanted it. He fought for
Right.
it. So
Yep.
he has custody, right? He believes in God. He's a federal police officer.
Yep.
He's earning 6 figures. He owns his own house, has 2 cars, has all this stuff going for himself. And guess
hmm
what? He's having a hard way to go out here.
mm
He's struggling, to find, that sister. And it's like, why would a man like that be struggling? Isn't that what the ladies want out here? But for whatever reason, they're brushing these brothers over, and there are 2 and 3 women going after married men. What's up with that?
Hey,
Um,
has your brother said it at First Baptist Church in Glenarden and said that he's single? He might get scooped up by.
Well, no, he
Uh,
hasn't made that announcement, but it's like before COVID, he
right.
was definitely a regular attendee.
Okay.
But the checklist for a man and for a woman are just different. For a man, we want a woman that's visually appealing, right?
mm
We want her to have, some personality, lady in public, things of that nature,
Freaking a
funny,
bit. Freaking a
yeah,
bit.
all that, right? Good personality, etc. But for a woman, it needs to be all those things and above. He has to have a certain income. He has to have drive a certain vehicle. He has to have a certain standard of living as far as where he lives, things of that. It has to have a certain shoe size, has to be a certain height. You know what I'm saying? It's like the checklist is just monumental as it relates to all the boxes that a good a black man has to check in order for him to be considered a good black man.
Yeah. Real quick, let me jump into these the comment section real quick. First of all, shout out to Mike, man. Mike's in the comments. Mike, we miss you, brother. So one of the comments is every woman does not want a man in those skinny jeans.
Thank God, thank God.
Right?
Thank God.
Right. So I appreciate that. Woo. But I do need to have a conversation with my son because they got to go the skinny jeans.
Mm.
And what's the other one here? Well, the same person said they're all cheaters. It's probably going back to something we said earlier, but they are all cheaters. Don't care how the woman is bending over, front ways or back ways. They still step out.
So
They
okay.
still step out.
So Steph, there's another myth.
Yep.
Or well, let's speak on it.
Is that a myth? Do all men cheat?
Absolutely not, man. Because let me tell you, my brother,
Shout out to
he's
Charlemagne.
he's another case in point. This brother was uh as far as I know, he's a faithful dude. In his previous relationship, let me not talk about all his relationships, but in his previous relationship, I know he was incredibly loyal to this young lady, and in a situation where she's asking him to pay some of her bills, and
Damn.
just all types of stuff going on, and in the end, although he had all these things going for him, he was not good enough for her because she was looking for more of a flashy, type of guy. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, I mean, whoever said that come on now.
Hey, you
That's
know
just not the
something though?
reality.
A lot of times, the ladies that are complaining about not finding good men or there are no good men out here aren't ready for a relationship anyway.
Mhm.
They're not emotionally stable or mature enough to handle a good man.
Emotionally stable woman. Is that what I heard?
Yeah, emotionally
Does
stable
that exist?
woman. It does exist. It's rare,
Ooh.
rare occurrences, but it does exist.
Yeah, I'm not touching that.
Yeah, I got one right now, but it took me, it took me a few samples to find her.
But if you're a female and you getting cheated on in every relationship, then you got to look at you and the type of choices that you're making.
What?
You know what I mean? Some of the people
Preach.
that you're going after, maybe you're just going after the wrong type of dude. And some of the guys, these good guys that we're talking about, you're not giving them the time of day.
Who are you looking for, and where are you looking? But
well,
more importantly, what do you bring to the table? You are what you are. You attract what you are. What you attract.
well, Mike said they just want a man with a man purse. So just want one with a man purse. So,
I don't know what that means, but I think that
money.
look, when we are, we say this all the time. We're in our 50s, right? And so we've gone through a bunch of stuff to get
Right.
Now, at this point in our life, we're not that whole cheating thing and all that stuff. That's everyone knows a little bit about that. But what I'm saying is, there are dudes who that's not how they get down. Like I know I'm saying we older, but there's younger people that's just not that personality.
They got morals. They were raised the right way.
Well, all right. So I think that, like Charles said, you got to kind of look at what you're doing. If everybody you get with is follows that same pattern.
Nope. Well, I tell you, the last segment, and this is still unscripted, that I have to talk about because every one of us are involved in this, and that's the myth that almost all Black men, if they're not with their baby mama, are absentee fathers. And that is a myth that is beyond the word untrue. And I think about what Charles just mentioned with his own brother and the fact that he wanted to be a father, so he went to court to make sure that happened. That is just stand up, and I've forgotten about it until Charles mentioned. Even in my own case, my older daughters are not with me, but I'm involved in their lives. Where at least I talk to them at least once a week, or if not every other week, and they live in another country, well away from me. But I was able to be a father with them and be involved in their lives. Even though we were away. What do you guys think about that myth about absentee fathers?
I think it's a bunch of BS, man. All the best fathers I know are Black men, including the brothers that are on this podcast. I mean, you guys are just, you all are great role models to me, as it relates to how you father your children, even from afar. You know what I'm saying? It's like, Wayne, case in point, I don't want to put your business out in the street, Wayne, so, forgive me. But this brother at one time was living down south. Okay, let's just say down south. And he was seeing his kids more often that live up here in Maryland than some people that I know that were, divorced or separated and living in the same state.
Right.
Okay. So, my thing is I've seen it with my own eyes. I know what it is. Now we all know that the court just doesn't do right by Black men in general when it comes to the custody situation, child support, alimony, all those types of things. We get the bend over. And then there are our sisters out there, and we got to be truthful about this. There are not all, but there are some that almost like holding the children in a hostage situation. You know what I'm saying? It's like, since you're not going to be with me as the mother of your children, then you don't get to see your kids, or you don't get to spend as much quality time, with your kids as, I'm going to control that to hurt you. And so they're
make you miserable.
Exactly. All too often those situations occur. So again, I don't want to dominate the podcast, but that's my take on it.
So let me say it real quick. So Charles, appreciate you shouting me out there. But for somebody who's been in that system, that bullshit.
I don't mean to laugh at your
That's
pain,
the nicest word I could come up with.
You did well.
But going through that process, when you see these dudes who don't really see their kids, maybe all they do is child support. Maybe you can see how it gets there. You can really see how it gets there, because the courts, the courts is crazy, and there's no reason for a black man to be in court for nothing. You don't want to go there for nothing, and it's just like they can't wait to just destroy it. It's crazy, and so now that's another show. But anyway, I'm just saying it's a crazy thing, and so I think there's a bunch of good fathers out there, and some of them, they have to wait until their child is 18 to be that good father, because trying to be a good father while it's being made difficult, it just ain't working. It just ain't working. And now, so there are situations where the dude can only lose. There's no way for you to win. You got these kids who are with their mother 99% of the time. That 1%, you ain't changing nobody's mind. You just can't. It's just not reality. So you have to look, when they're old enough to comprehend and understand, let's have that real talk. And then you make a decision.
One of our viewers said, absentee fathers is not race specific.
Sure.
Right.
Agreed.
They try to make it out to seem like, only Black fathers are absentee fathers, and we have to put them on child support because they're just not going to do right, this, that, and the other. I would venture to say there is just as many, if not more. I don't have the statistic, but I'm almost positive there's more white men on child support than there are Black men.
Just by population, it has to be, right?
You're right. You're right. So it's just another one of those stereotypes, myths. If you just keep piling them on, what happens when you keep piling things on top of each other? The weight just keeps pushing you down, and that's, to me, it's all about power. It's all about control, and it's about us. We have to break these stereotypes. We have to break these myths, and us Black folks, if we're doing it to ourselves, that's where it starts first. We got to get ourselves out of that mental trap before we can even try to get anybody else out of it. Yeah. One more from a viewer. I believe his name is Mike, and he says, "I'm the pappy."
Yeah, that would be the Mike we know.
That sounds like him.
Yeah, right. If I could say one other thing, Steph, to Chuck's point, and not to get off the fatherhood initiative, but just the old narrative here. One of the things that is very stereotypical about society is when they talk about this issue of Black on Black crime and make it uniquely us, in terms of, being the culprits, the perpetrators of crime. The reality is, roughly 90% of crimes against Black people are perpetuated against Black people or by Black people, right? But in the white community, it's the same damn statistic. It's like 85 to 90% of the crime that's perpetrated against white, the white person is the one that actually committed the crime. But no one, exactly. It's
that's
like,
why
D.L. Hughley said it best. He said, people do crime against who they're around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you're around white people all the time and you're white, it's going to be white on white crime. Same thing, you know, with black folks.
Right. So if it's black on black crime, is there white on white crime? Is there Asian on Asian crime? Why is it only black on black crime? And the reason is because it's a creative narrative. It doesn't exist. It's
Sells
just fucking
better.
crime. It's
Sells
just
better.
crime.
Right.
You know? So frustrating.
Yeah, it's crazy. Another one I just want to bring up real quick. This is a quick one, but black people are bad tippers. Right? So I bring this up because, you know, obviously a lot of people go out for dinner and these different things. And I know every single time that, you know, the check comes, I make a conscious effort, right? And so not to be that dude. So, you know, my daughter waited tables for a little bit. Well, not for while she was in college. And, you know, people would shy away from large groups of black people coming to eat. And so she was new at it. So, but she would go that way. But there was a conscious effort. The seasoned servers would not.
No, and I've seen it happen myself, especially in Annapolis, for some reason. And I'm just by myself with my wife. And it's like, interesting. And then I make sure I leave at least a 20% tip, if not greater, in cash, so that it's not going on there. You know, they just slide in their pocket, keep it moving.
You know who don't tip well? Those that don't understand struggle. So primarily in this country, who does not understand struggle? Because they haven't had to understand struggle.
Privilege.
Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, so black people, don't get me wrong. I mean, shit, younger black dine and dash. Our black kids do the same stuff white kids do. We dine and dash when we're younger. I did it when I was in high school. Shout out to Jeff Holmes. You know what I'm saying? So
he's the one for a crime then.
Jeff Holmes, Tony Bass.
Oh yeah,
Nick Tutt, all of
right. You know what I'm saying? So we all do the same things. Crime is proximity based for the most part. And, you know, if you do crime around black people, you know, if black people do crime around black people, then yes, black people, yeah. So it's all a hoax. It's all a myth. We all do the same thing. But again, in order to keep one group of individuals at a level below another group of individuals, you just got to keep shitting on them. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but that's exactly what it is. Black is bad. You know, their kids, they're going to ruin your neighborhoods. Your property values are going to go down if you allow them to move in. And so if you do that and you say that long enough on TV, radio, video, people start to believe it. Even the same people that look like you.
That's right.
Of course. Yeah.
Very well said.
Hey, a lot of times we're our own worst enemy. Lots of times.
Hey, the last thing I want to talk about, and this is very brief. Black people can't have nice neighborhoods. You know, it's always, it looks like the ghetto.
Y'all been to Charles' house?
Yeah, I've been by Charles' house.
Okay.
I've been by Charles' house. It's nice.
We live in, first of all, the majority of us on this podcast live in Prince George's County. One of the wealthiest black county in the country. Okay. So to say that is just absurd. It's a myth. You got Baldwin Hills, the list goes on. But again, talk badly about it enough, and here we are.
And matter of fact, Baldwin Hills is technically South Central Los Angeles, and because I lived out there, and but it's a beautiful area.
Is it? Is it not?
Oh my God!
But
gorgeous.
Yeah, but to you know, even out in California, you live in Baldwin Hills? The hell?
Bro, I was listening to a nationally syndicated sports talk show on the radio just this morning. And the subject, they were talking to a fan of the Washington football team. And for whatever reason, he went on this tangent about the team and the stadium and the fact that it's in Prince George's County, Maryland, and talked about how he doesn't do anything in Prince George's County. You know, I mean, just tearing the county up. And I was so proud of the host of the show that basically let him know that you're misinformed
Mhm.
about this county. I mean, you are incredibly misinformed, and that's it, man. They take a sound bite. You know, something happens on the local news that happens to take
Correct.
place in maybe a bad part of the county, and all of a sudden the entire county is painted with the same brush.
Mhm.
And if you do that repeatedly, just like you said, Chuck, it creates this narrative. People believe it. People that even have not even stepped foot in the county or believe in certain negative stereotypes about it, not knowing that there are multi-million-dollar homes in the
Mhm.
county, that you have just some of the, just like you said, some of the most affluent people on the planet that live
Mhm.
in this particular county. But
Right.
again, it's that local news sensationalism type stuff that drives me crazy. It really
So
does.
now we live in the DMV, right? DC, Maryland, and Virginia. Virginia has MS-13, right?
Mhm.
For those that don't know, gangs, gang violence, all that. If you turn on the news, you will hear about gang-related shootings, violence, all kinds of stuff in DC. And when they talk about Maryland, it's Prince George's County, or they skip all the way down to Baltimore. All right, this is
Mhm.
what happened. So, but you never hear about the gang stuff that goes on in Virginia. It happens often, but it's Virginia, right? Right across the line, the DMV. It's not necessarily our area, right? So, um, it's going on everywhere. It's not just Prince George's County, Maryland, but because of the demographic, the racial demographic, if you will, they're not going to shit on Virginia. Prince George's County all day long because they still need news, they still need headlines, they still need, not Virginia though. But you
Mhm.
got a gang problem. You don't. How many of you knew about that?
Oh, I knew.
Oh yeah,
You know,
definitely.
right? But you don't. How many of you heard about it any time in the last month?
No, no,
Exactly. So
exactly. Hey guys, we got to wrap up. We won't have time for a drop the mic. But at the same time, we'd like to thank you all for joining us. Please, as a matter of fact, Chuck, go and give them the normal spiel.
oh man, y'all got me hot now. I don't go to our YouTube, all of our social media right now. Smash that subscribe button, all right? Because it helps us out a lot, guys. That's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. If you go to Alexa and say, hey, Alexa, turn on the Just Be a Man podcast, we're right there. We're everywhere. Sign up now.
Okay, brother Mike, we missed you. We know you're listening to the podcast. We hope to connect with you soon and trust that everything is well. Hey, Wayne, Charles, Chuck, I appreciate everything you guys have said this evening. Please make sure you please text JBAM to 22828. Stay connected to what's next.
Do that
Also, I
right
know,
now.
matter of fact, also, I know that some people are getting emails from us. Please continue forwarding those emails to your friends and family. And
Man.
and go ahead, Wayne.
No, I said amen. That's what I
Yeah.
said.
All right, preach. Okay, nah, not a problem. Stop right there. Anyway, but anyway, once again, we'd like to thank you for everything that taking the time to spend with us this evening, and we hope we were able to impart some wisdom, demystifying Black men or Black people in general. Until next time, Charles, take us out.
Deuces.